Insert nutrition, number one, of course, exercise, sleep. We talk a lot about cognition. And if you're not getting the appropriate amount of sleep and the right kind of sleep, then you're just not going to be neurologically active. So people come to us all the time. They're like, hey, what's the secret, solution, pill, protocol? And you have to start with these, basics essentially. But then also to your point around measurement, measuring your sleep. I mean, that's the first thing that we recommend, whether it's a wearable. They have the sleep ADAT mattress now that measures your HRV through the mattress. I mean, that's pretty crazy. So you don't even need a wearable to measure some of these things. Yeah. So pretty incredible.
Welcome to the Bomb Life Podcast, where fitness, mindset, and real talk collide. This isn't just about workouts. It's about transforming your body, mind, and life. Get ready for unfiltered conversations, expert advice, and the motivation you need to level up in every way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Bomb Life Podcast. I am Melissa Vogel, your host. Welcome to the show. Today's episode, it's going to open your eyes to a few things. We're talking all about human behavior, the brain, AI, a little bit of dementia, the importance of human contact. Like, it's so many things that's going to wake you up. This is a powerful episode. We're in the middle of February right now, and soon we're going to be out of the month, the second month of 2026. And I want everyone right now to just kind of take a moment and pause and just see where you're at with your relationships. How's it going with your food, with your connections, with your workouts, with walking? Do you have that ability to even get out and walk right now because of the weather or your gym or whatever? But just movement of your body. Just kind of do like a little assessment, and also your environment. Are you just going to work every day and communicating with the people that you work with, clients, whatever, and your boss, and coming home and maybe you just spend time with your dog or just your significant other, or maybe that's not even the greatest, but really look at your environment and who you have in your tribe that you're talking to daily right now, daily. And is this the environment? Is this the life? Are you living a daily protocol that suits you to help you get better, to help you move forward, to help you advance? And I just want you to kind of recap before we go into the next month. And I want you to really take a look at how everything is set up right now in your life and your design, and ask yourself if you're okay with that. And I know this is a hard question, and I know people are like, just get to the episode, Melissa, stop freaking talking to me right now. But I want you to just kind of pause. And some of you might answer and go, yeah, I'm really happy with the way things are going right now. This is good. I am on a great path. And then you might be sitting here listening going, no, I actually don't want to think about this right now. She can shut up right now. I don't want to think about this. And I want you to take a moment, see where you're at, and try to be brutally honest with yourself, because there are areas in my life when I stop and I do the same thing and I pause and I just take a moment. I'm like, no, I have got to fix part of my night routine. I have got to fix part of my morning routine. There's things where I need to change and focus on more at the gym on weeks that I can. There's a lot of things. And I feel like I do pretty damn good. But when I'm honest with myself, there are tweaks and adjustments that need to happen. And I don't want to carry them into another month, because if you carry them into another month, it will turn into 3 or 4 months. And then it's 6. And before I know it, I have habits, routines, micro habits that have stacked upon each other that are not serving me. So do me a favor and just think about this for a moment. Let your brain kind of keep thinking about this as we're diving into this episode, and be brutally honest with yourself of like, what areas am I able to control on my own, and what areas do I need help? One of our episodes, I think it was just last week, it could have been last week's episode or the week before, we talked so much about how important it is to get help, that you don't have to do certain things alone. It takes a tribe. It takes a tribe to raise kids and your family and all of that. But you know what? It takes a tribe to help yourself. And I really want you to think about this. And what do you have in place? What is your environment in place to help you thrive? Do you need to bring on extra help to help you take the next steps forward? Because if we're all being, real with ourselves, you've got to ask the questions, do I know how to do this on my own? And there are areas of my life where right now I'm going, no, I don't. And I need help. I need help pushing through this, whether that is with a coach, with a therapist, with a certain therapist, like for my back and PT and things like that. I'm really smart in a lot of areas. This area, no. And I can't do it on myself and I need help. So think about that. And of course, I'm going to tell you to go to the show notes, and book a call. Maybe a one-on-one discussion with me is what's needed. Maybe we just go back and forth in email. But I am here to help. I'm here to help guide you in the right direction. If I am not your person, I will tell you. If what I do is not a fit, I will tell you. But you will not know until you have the discussion. You will not know what direction to go in unless you get real with yourself and you have a real conversation with yourself and sit here and think like, okay, what am I doing? Am I doing the same shit again, saying that I was going to create change and here I'm not? Well, when is enough enough? When are you going to break that pattern and that habit? And honestly, I just got to add this in here. If you are not resistance training just about every single day, I mean, not every day, but like if you don't have resistance training as a major staple of your life, what are you doing? What is going on? You have got to pick up heavy shit and put it down nearly every single day. And if that's not happening in a structured way, like what is going on? And I just had to bring up muscle because that is so important and it is lacking in so many people's lives. And then they say, well, I don't have time for it. Oh, I move enough for work. Bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. And that, my friends, is something that needs to happen in your daily protocol. That is something that needs to change and adjust in your habits. And that's what we're talking about today with Thoryn Stevens. He is a scientist, data visionary, and keynote speaker pioneering in the space where adaptive AI, human behavior, and biology intersect. This is just the coolest conversation ever. He is the founder and CEO of Brain One, and he's advancing an AI-powered platform, and it turns research into real-world health protocols. The protocols that we're talking about right now that need to be in place. And he's helping people think sharper, age slower, perform at their peak. He's a former molecular biologist and a data scientist, and Thoryn spent 2 decades driving digital transformation and predictive analytics for global leaders. And today, his work fuses neuroscience, behavior designs, and AI to pioneer a new model of prevention first, measurable and scalable human optimization. It's a conversation that flows, gives you the information, it's educational, and it's real talk about real things that we need to be concerned about. So maybe Brain One, I don't know, maybe it's a fit for you, but you won't know until you check it out and first you hear this conversation. All right, everyone, rate and review this podcast. Leave 5 stars if you feel appropriate. Leave a review. It does huge things. It's like leaving a huge tip in my tip jar. Everyone enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the Bomb Life podcast. Today we have Thoryn Stevens on. Welcome to the show, Thoryn.
Thank you, Melissa. So excited to be here.
I'm like already sweating. You guys, we've already been talking before I hit record. I'm like, let's go.
Let's do it.
I'm so excited for this conversation. I mean, you are a scientist, a data visionary, a speaker. I mean, you are bringing the world of like AI, human behavior, biology, like all together for like peak human performance. Who the hell is doing that?
Thank you. Yeah, it's very much a passion and inherent in who I am as a human. I started off always interested in science, and that was really my trajectory at an early age, and research, and then going from there into peak performance. But the thread was always measurement, and how do you measure and then optimize a system,
yes,
behavior, a human, whatever it might be. So
yeah, I'm always talking about measurement with my clients. Like, oh, this is my goal, and I'm like, great. How can we track that?
Yes.
How can we measure this to make sure that you're actually freaking hitting it? Because if 100%. You're not, like, we're just doing this blind.
Yeah. And most humans are, right? Like, how many of our friends are on peptides or supplements, and you really have no idea if they're working? GLP-1 is a little bit more linear because at least you have weight loss, but for the majority of these, you don't necessarily know. So that's in part one thing that we're trying to help support is through Brain One is the ability to measure multiple inputs from biometrics, biomarkers, and so forth.
This is cool. Okay, so back up. How did you get into this? Because this isn't where you started. Didn't you used to work in, was it drug development? Am I getting that right?
Yeah. So began my career in biotechnology. I was doing small molecule drug therapeutics. I was a bench nerd, synthesizing essentially DNA. So I was a molecular biologist, part of the genomics team. And it was right when the human genome was first sequenced. And this is early 2000s. And it was like, oh, we're going to unlock all the secrets of human drug development and discovery. And it was totally not true because we were just beginning to also understand what's called the proteome. So, the expression of your DNA to RNA to proteins. But in between, you have the epigenome or epigenetics, and then you have the concept of the transcriptome, which is all of your RNA transcripts, essentially.
Okay.
And so it was like this amazing moment in time where, we began to realize like your DNA is it's a blueprint, but it's not necessarily what's going to be expressed. And so that's kind of the world I play in now is behavior change and ultimately your gene expression, which you do control to an extent, basically.
You just did a reel on this and I was like, oh my God, I love it. And you were talking about how like 75% of your gene expression is based on environment. I'm like, oh my God, we have to dive into that because people, again, they don't realize who you surround yourself with, who you talk to on a daily basis. Like that whole saying of like, you are the sum of the top 5 people you spend around.
100%. Yes.
Oh my God.
Let me first qualify. So it's not quite 75, but it depends on the tissue and it depends on the specific gene. So, there's averages here, but let's say even if it's at 50%, that alone is amazing. So 50% of your DNA, your gene expression is based on exactly as you just said. And I completely agree. You are as a human an artifact exactly of who you surround yourself with. So I completely believe with that. And then further, the things that you do. And so a big piece of Brain One is the concept of your daily routine and your daily health protocol. And that can be anything. Ultimately, when you wake up, and Melissa, what's yours? Like, what are your top 5 things that you do in the morning?
I red light immediately.
Okay. See, that's amazing.
Like
how long? How many minutes?
20 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I appreciate it. Yeah.
If I'm not naked, I get naked and
you have a bed or a mask or what?
I have mats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So I lay on one for my whole back and then I put one on my stomach.
Amazing.
And then whatever else needs it, like my knees bothering me or my shoulder or just my chest, I just put it across and I lay there. That's the very first thing.
That's one of my favorite micro habits for sure.
Yeah. And then next I'm usually getting up and getting kids off to school. But I make my protein shake. I get like around 30 grams within 30 minutes of waking up.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. And then I also microdose.
Okay. No way. What's your microdose of choice?
You mean like how much?
Or what?
Or the brand or?
Yeah. Or what kind of microdose?
Mushrooms. I use Mosaic and I'm at 5 milligrams a day.
5 milligrams. Okay. Yeah. Great.
So if I need an extra boost, I'm up to 10, but this is fairly new for me, but I love Mosaic.
Awesome. I think psilocybin is a absolute performance enhancer. We use it here in Colorado and we'll go on 15-mile trail runs essentially on the medicine, like more of a, it's absolutely. So again, even on the, the macro or the micro level, like I am thoroughly a believer.
How many grams are you taking on those runs?
It depends. It can be upwards of a macro where it's like 5 grams. It can be, mid, let's say 3, but it depends on the company. And, I've got some pretty interesting humans here in our, our friends and family. And that's what we do. It's definitely trail running. And then in the winters, we do a lot of like ski mountaineering type stuff.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've already mentioned Brain One. You're the founder and CEO of Brain One. What made you start this company? At what point were you like, you know what? We need a platform. This needs to happen.
100%. So it's pretty linear. Again, I've been always interested in measurement. And then I started doing Ironmans and triathlons. And that's when I began to follow essentially a health protocol, which is just a structured things that you do. So when you're training have you ever done a marathon or a half marathon, Melissa?
Oh, no, I don't go into that world.
Yeah. It's
but I know a lot about it.
Yeah. You love it or you hate it. But in that concept, when you're training for a marathon, you're following, again, a protocol where you're optimizing your micro habits. And those are just the things that you do. So triathlon, you have swim, bike, and run. Mm-hmm. And then when you're actually training, you're optimizing, every a multitude of inputs in your body. So it's going to be electrolytes, hydration, carbohydrates, some degree protein. And these longer races, like an Ironman, you're out there from 10 to 12 hours. And so it's nonstop. And it's that concept of using a protocol where I really got the initial kind of vision for this. And then further, I was here in Colorado. It was like 3 years ago now. I just had the vision for Brain One. I didn't know what it was. And I broke my clavicle. And I go to the number one orthopedic, arguably in the United States, called the Stedman Institute. And they basically did the x-ray. She's like, it's completely broken. Here you go. And threw me a sling. And I was like, okay, that's my like rehab protocol. She's like, yep, see you in 6 weeks. And it was like immobilization, right? So not moving your arm. Yeah. And, then the bone will heal. And ultimately, I went to my network as part of Brain One, we have a lot of nutritionists and PTs and so forth. And I was like, hey guys, I broke my clavicle. What do you recommend? And the recommendation was like bone broth, collagen. And so I was doing big bison stews. And then I was also doing PEMF. Do you know PEMF?
No.
Familiar with that one? Pulse electrical magnetic frequency. And this stuff's getting more and more accepted. Coming from the triathlon, we were doing red light like a decade ago. And I remember people, it was just completely unknown. And now it's completely mainstream, which is awesome. And we're just seeing more and more of these things. So PEMF is an example, and it's localized electricity essentially, but like a very specific voltage.
Is that what they call a shockwave too? Is it the shockwave therapy? And it's like a circle and it like zaps it like.
It could be, yeah, a similar concept. I had this done also in acupuncture where they put on the nodes and the different, meridians, but there's something really here. And so PEMF is a bit more exploratory, but just like red light, this stuff is now like on Tony Robbins' web, homepage. It's become so mainstream, right? And because it works, I think a lot of it, not all, but anyway. And so long story short, I do this protocol and she's like, come back in 6 weeks. And I went back in 4 because I was traveling, and she did the x-ray and, the doctor's like, oh my gosh, it's completely healed. I've never seen anything like it in such a short time. What have you been doing? And I was like, doctor, I've been focusing on my nutrition. And they looked at me and they're like, oh, we never would have thought of that. And I was just like, okay, there's something broken here and we can fix it. And the fact that, again, nutrition as something that can help heal your body, it's just not taught to Western medical professionals.
No.
And so that was really the impetus of what became Brain One.
That's crazy. And I bet her mind was just blown of like, wait, what? And it's not talked about with like healing from the inside and what you are actually capable of.
100%. And even just, food is medicine. I mean, that whole movement, without getting too woo-woo, the reality is you are just like you're a reflection of who you surround yourself with and the things that you do. It's also true about what you put in your body. And just the basics of whole food and, not, really getting the chemicals that are in the food supply today in our country, it's pretty upsetting, like glyphosate as an example, which is absolutely a herbicide that's in the majority of our wheat products. This has been tested. I grew up eating Quaker oats and like you can't
Cheerios.
Cheerios. Every single sample of Cheerios they tested had glyphosate residue. And it's just tragic, and to say, oh, it's just, then you have the lobbyist and so forth. So it's a problem. And again, though, when we built hundreds, if not going on thousands of these protocols. And like, it comes down to the same basic principles. When you look at longevity, nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress, and some level of connection, those are some of the major pillars that we see across each. Nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress. And so nutrition, number one, of course, exercise, sleep, we talk a lot about cognition. And if you're not getting the appropriate amount of sleep and the right kind of sleep, then you're just not going to be neurologically active. So people come to us all the time. They're like, hey, what's the secret, solution, pill, protocol? And you have to start with these, basics essentially. But then also to your point around measurement, measuring your sleep. That's the first thing that we recommend, whether it's a wearable. They have the sleep ADAT mattress now that measures your HRV through the mattress. That's pretty crazy. So you don't even need a wearable to measure some of these things. Yeah. So pretty incredible. But
yeah, I actually just started doing that over the last, I've done it before, but I like to take my watch off at night. Like I try not to have anything 100%. On me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
I need to see. I'm like, I'm not really sure what my hours are looking like. And I still have yet to hit 8. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is not good. So,
but don't beat yourself up. And we're all different biologically. Again, even 6 to 8 is an awesome target. 8 is so hard. I agree.
It's rough. And I'm trying to go to bed earlier.
You're not alone.
I start my red light protocol even at night, even sooner.
Oh, for sure. Well, so my wearables of choice, I use Garmin when I'm training, and work for the accuracy of activity, but I use Oura when I sleep. We're doing a time series and seeing which of these wearables is the most accurate.
Yeah.
Apple's the least, and it's also obtrusive and EMF and da-da-da. So I've been testing Whoop. I don't love Whoop either, honestly. So I'm really going back to Oura. I know. And it's a little clunky. I don't love their data visualization. So Oura for sleep, Garmin for activity is kind of on. But for the normal human, the Apple Watch is awesome too.
Yeah. I need to switch. I need to switch to the Oura ring.
It's pretty good. Non-invasive. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking about these protocols, and I know people are probably going like, Like, okay, we need to understand this. Like, talk to
Sure.
me like protocol brain one for
100%.
dummies, because you're
Yeah,
bringing like the neuroscience, the behavior design, and like AI all together. How does
sure.
that work?
Yeah.
And why is this important? Why are we doing
100%.
this?
So where we started was, again, if you've ever heard the hypothesis, dementia is preventable. That's become more
Mhm.
prevalent and accepted. And it's really only, let's say 20, 30 years old that we really began understanding the impacts specifically around lifestyle. And, there's dementia has essentially a spectrum, but certain types of dementia. And so where we started was we were looking at scientific papers. There's one, it's called the Lancet 2024. Your listeners can find it. And what it outlines, it started off with, now they're up to, I think it's 14 behavioral, essentially modifications or things that you can do to help reduce your propensity for dementia,
Okay.
basically. And so these are small lifestyle modifications. And so some of them, you may not be able to control. So things like TBI or, air pollution. So if you played football, and we work with a lot of ex-NFL guys, they have TBI period, but there's things that you can do to support yourself again through that. Another example would be noise, actually losing your hearing as you get older. Things like social isolation actually increase your propensity. Things like a micro habit like connection. When you wake up in the morning, do you have things to do? And do you have, a purpose of some kind? And as you
Right.
get older, that changes, And so helping try to instill these things early when people are in their 30s and 40s, not when you're in your 60s and 70s. And you may, it's not that you've missed it because you can still start immediately. But again, starting these types of micro habits early on are really, really critical. And so we'll take that paper and we run it through AI, we generate an editorial, and then essentially a series of steps that people can do to help reduce their chance of getting dementia.
Isn't that crazy though, that like these small things like connection and purpose and sleep, like
100%.
that truly changes like the
Your
structure,
biology.
your
Yeah.
biology, like how the wires like literally in your brain connect or don't connect or
100%. Yes.
like come apart. I don't think people understand how important these things are. I think a lot of people are walking around with the mindset of like, no, my grandma had it, my grandpa had it, I'm
Yeah.
going to get it, or hey, we're just going to roll the dice, and if I get it, then I get it, and that is not the case anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. And it comes back to the prior point. You control to some degree your biological and your gene expression. And so you do have some control over these things. And again, if you have a genetic predisposition for Alzheimer's, you can't necessarily change the onset of the disease, but there's things that you can do to manage, the impact of the disease in your life. And
Sure.
so even that stabilization of the tau proteins, amyloids, and so forth into your older ages. So that's really what we're thinking about. And then from there, we started with brain, and now we're looking at all different areas of human biology and impacts of women's health and peptides and all the things.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that, and like with women, like the female brain and just the revolution of that. How is data and neuroscience like changing women's health? Like, what do you see happening in this field?
100%. So we get actually, even when I was just beginning to launch Brain One, I had a doctor that came up to me and she's like, hey, can we start using this for women's health? And so we've been working together, and that's a whole area that we're looking to expand into soon. I guess taking a step back, the first question I have is like, why does nearly every single woman in my life have autoimmune of some kind? And, they're dealing with, again, thyroid issues, endocrine disruption. So that is just one general trend that we hear and we see, and we get asked for protocols around. And so things like PCOS, endometriosis, perimenopause, menopause, all these different areas of women's health. And so I would say generally they haven't been well researched. And, that's very unfortunate. As you know, it's
Yeah.
absolutely absurd. Yeah. And so there's that. And then, further again, there's really no playbooks for these things. I mean, I've heard so many stories of women going in with endometriosis or PCOS and just how they're tested, and then the plans that they're put on. So those are things that these are types of protocols that we're really working towards at the moment. And there's just such a massive need. So it's very, very exciting.
Yeah. Can you see like any ways that women can change just with like hormonal decline? Like, are you seeing any patterns right now that like we see women doing this and it's creating a problem with their hormones? Does anything stand out?
I would say our approach is, we don't work with single clients or single, humans. We work with clinicians, and the clinicians work directly with the humans. What we see are, again, more on like the disease states. Like I said, mentioned endometriosis as an example in PCOS. Like we are actively building protocols for each of those areas. So I think just as a general trend, that's what we're seeing relative to, I would say, the types of, support. On one hand, again, it's hormonal. And so what does that look like relative to the impact of nutrition on your hormones? And in the morning, what does that look like relative to your daily microhabit? You mentioned one of the first things you do is a 30-gram protein. High protein in the morning is absolutely critical. And so that would be a microhabit as part of let's say a PCOS protocol. And then secondly, thinking about circadian regulation and just the ability to get direct sunlight, and then how that impacts ultimately your sleep schedule. And so a series of micro habits essentially that then roll up into a protocol that are easy for a human to do. That's the hardest part. But, these small types of changes that women and just humans can actually integrate into their lives.
I can totally appreciate a good protocol because I was seeing this one guy for back and PT and stretching and like active stretching, resistance stretching and all these things. And he gave me like so much information. And I'm like, okay, look, dude, I need you to break it down for me
100%.
and just give me like a protocol to follow of like, you need to do these 5 things every single day.
Exactly.
And it was too much for my brain.
100%. You're not alone though. That's literally why we built Brain One, Melissa, is actually for that reason. And so what people can do is so what we see, just taking a step back, is like, people are, in that instance, those are more, exercise or maybe movement-based microhabits, stretching and so forth.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of it, you have nutrition, and then you have supplementation. And we're, more on the peak performance side where we're always trying to, just be the best humans we can be. Some of the, supplement stacks that I see are insane, where we're talking like 40 pills a day. And so what happens is, a clinician will come to us, they have a list essentially of the supplements, and then they just upload the list and then the microhabits, and then it generates a protocol the human can follow, basically.
Okay.
And part of that is just the organization of their supplements. I mean, we have, like people on the platform that, again, they have like 40 different supplements. They maybe are on, let's say 40 different pills, 20 different supplements twice a day, the schedule around that, and then let alone peptides, like you layer in, and I think there's a little bit of a worrying trend on the peptides, like people are being prescribed, even though they're not really prescribed. But, I met one human recently and they were on 8 different peptides. And like, that's a little bit absurd to me if you're just a normal functioning human, if you're, rigorously training and so forth. So anyway, that's just I'd say a little bit of a concern there, but that's something we're actively looking at as well.
Yeah. Well, and you have to be careful of like certain things you can't mix. Like if someone is on taking more like a DIM and glutathione, like those are 2 things that you like, they're going to fight for absorption. And if someone's taking just like a basic turmeric with a probiotic, like you don't want them combined together. People don't know that.
Yeah, 100% correct. Yeah. Contraindications and that idea that you have, effects that are not synergistic. It's an issue for sure.
Hey, Bomb Life fam, I have a question for you. Are you the kind of person who crushes it at work, shows up for your family, checks off every to-do list, but when it comes to your fitness, your energy, and your confidence, it feels like something's missing? You might be doing the workouts, listening to all the right podcasts. I mean, you are listening to this one. But deep down, you're just kind of going through the motions and you're done playing small in this area of life. That's exactly why I created Fit Mind Coaching, my private one-on-one program for high-achieving women and men who are ready to level up. This isn't just another fitness plan. This is about building the body and the mindset to match the life you're working so damn hard for. Because success in business means nothing if you're hiding in hoodies, avoiding mirrors, or dragging through your day with zero energy, or showing up on Zoom meetings feeling good from the chest up, but praying no one ever sees what's going on below the screen. We're talking about fat loss, muscle building, and real confidence that bleeds into every area of your life, your boardroom, your bedroom, and your parenting. You want it all? Good. You should have it all. Let's go. Click the link in the show notes and book your free call with me today. Let's build the strongest, most confident version of you inside and out. You're ready for more, and I'm ready to show you how. Back to the show. Okay, let's talk AI really quick because I know a lot of people are afraid of it. And then a lot of people are fully like, no, bring it on. It's making my life easier. How do you see it in the sense of like AI is going to help upgrade human performance? Like how, and how can we not be afraid of this? Because it's coming no matter what. It's happening. It's already here.
100%. Yeah, it's here. I mean, I started building AI models like well over a decade ago. in digital systems. It's just gotten more mainstream. So none of this is, new. It's just you can build these models a lot cheaper and quicker.
Yeah.
My general approach in technology is that everyone on this, in your audience should try to experiment with this as much as possible and understand it and understand the capabilities of what you can build. And not, I mean, even if you're afraid of it, still take the time and really understand it. And then, you have a more informed perspective. There's absolutely reason for concern. I'm an optimist at heart, and so I try to focus on the positive ways that we see, AI in health. And I have a couple examples I could share.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, like so one thing again. So that idea of we take a scientific paper, we generate a protocol, and then the human can download that and start tracking that. So that's cool. But then where the AI comes into play is around the recommendation and the what's called adaptive AI of taking that health protocol that's already been personalized for you, Melissa, based on your prior week's activities. But it also can look at your biometrics and your biomarkers and then make a recommendation based on that data, essentially, that you can then follow that's even more tailored to you. And so that's something we've been testing for a while now. We're in our alpha, it'll go into beta and in public, and I'd love for you to take a look. But that idea that, you have a bit more of a structured routine, and we don't see this in the wearables. You wear one of these wearables and it's like your HRV is low. Right. And I was like, well, I had a glass of wine last night. That'll do it. And then, you are like, okay, what can I do to improve it though today? Like that's where all of these platforms fall short. And so that's something we've really thought about and put time into around behavioral modification in models. And how do you incentivize someone? How do you help motivate them? What is the mechanism for that messaging? So we have an app, of course, but then we also use SMS and things like that to reach people, wherever they're at, relative to, it's pretty cool. And I mean, this is becoming more and more ubiquitous, like sleep aid I mentioned earlier. I don't have one yet. That's like next on my list, but they send you a text message in the morning and it tells you your HRV. So you don't need to log into anything.
Oh my God.
So that's what we're working towards at the moment. You press a button, you have your forward protocol for the day, but that level of just, and also, that helps keep the amount of like time you're on a screen. But so that would be one example. Another example I have to mention is we have a member of the Brain One team. His name is Dr. Galen Buckwalter. He's our chief brain futurist. And Galen is a pioneer. He has 6 neural implants, 1 in the prefrontal, and then he has 5 in his neocortex. And he's one of the most connected humans on the planet, at least that we know of, in the United States. And so these are small chips. They're 8x8 arrays. And in Galen's case, he's a quadriplegic. He had a tragic accident when he was 17, jumped off a bridge. And so he's been paralyzed. He has some control of his right arm. But so he qualified for this clinical trial. And now by using his brain, he can control a robotic arm. And it's just incredible to watch this in real time. Where quite literally it's, you mentioned this in the very onset of the, our chat, like we're the generation that's really seeing the fusion of technology and biology, quite literally. And Galen is a pioneer in this. And so it's for that, very amazing reason that, he could then be control a robotic arm or maybe an exoskeleton, maybe not in his lifetime, but that's the research that he's putting forward. And so that's all done using AI and modeling. So when he thinks something, it then triggers the robotic arm to do the thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's like right now. I mean, there's such amazing stories, people who are completely paralyzed that can talk to their partner for the first time, essentially. So it's a very exciting time, and I'm an optimist. But, always reasons to be cautious as well.
I have to add too that like, I love the format of this and the protocol because the person has to take action. You have got to be responsible for your own health and follow along and do it and get up. It's not like here, just like tell me what to do. And then I just follow that like blindly. Like you have to be involved. You have to go through every step of your protocol. And so many people are just like, just give it to me. I mean, they do it with me with like meal plans or, they're like, tell me what to work out and I'll just do exactly what you said. And I'm like, no, you still need to learn form and technique. I'm going to give you a range of reps, but you need to know what is your fatigue, when do you stop? So I love that it's still making the human take responsibility and accountability for your health.
Oh, 100%. That's the hardest part. It's like the technology, the AI, that's easy. The hardest part is the human behavior change, and actually something as small as like just drinking 2 glasses of water when you wake up in the morning or getting direct sunlight. And it's hard because we all have lives and kids and, all the things. But it's that's kind of the secret sauce for what we're really thinking about and then applying it to brain, women's health, also just peptides in general. So those are all the areas that we're working towards immediately.
I'm curious, what's your daily protocol? Like what does your morning look like?
I'll share it with you. I
Okay.
have it. Yeah, we actually have a full profile page. And yeah, so it's fairly simple though. And it does depend if I'm traveling or if I'm home. When I'm home, hydration, direct sunlight. I have a biocharger here in the house. If you're familiar with that, it's like a
No, what?
giant Tesla coil.
Okay.
So I biocharge, and that's like 3 days a week in the mornings. And there's different protocols. So one is for activation, others for recovery.
Do you stand in
It's
front of
literally
it? Do you hold on to it? Like what is it?
it's we sit around it and I'll have like meetings and whatnot, but it's a giant Tesla
Okay.
coil and then it has these tubes and so we'll have meetings and it just emits essentially a type of frequency.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah, Tony Robbins has like 8 of them in his homes or something. Yeah, I mean you would love this stuff, yeah, especially if you're doing red light. It's along the lines of the frequency.
Okay.
And then I have a very high protein, low sugar diet. I'm not nearly keto, but in general, that's like the
Mhm.
general principles there. High protein within about an hour of waking. Try not to drink coffee until about an hour of waking.
Okay.
Trying to stay away from screens, and so some of these are non-negotiables, and some of them you just have to have a bit of flexibility. And then of course traveling, it's even worse. And then other when in the winter, try to ski or snowboard every day possible physically. Yeah, and then a bedtime wind down routine. But
Are you lifting? Do you train now and do triathlons or marathons
100%,
anymore?
yeah,
Okay.
I do. So when I'm here in Colorado, again, try to ski every day, and then I do hot Pilates 4 days a week, and it's very challenging. It's the hardest class in town, and that's combined with weights, and then you get the sweat. And so
Nice.
it's a 1 hour class, and I use pretty heavy weights, 30s to 50s, and I do that like 4 days a week, and that. Between those two. And what I found though is I always embraced yoga when I lived in LA and Venice for 10 years. But then when I moved here, I really got into the Pilates. And what I found is it's just that cross training and all those micro muscles. And so I get hurt less now when I ski because I have, that better kind of base and foundation. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And what about the nighttime? Do you have anything specific that you follow regardless of travel or at home?
Just the basics. So low temperature for sure. I'd say probably in the 50s, just depending, just windows open, blinds, trying to reduce the amount of sunlight, things like that. When I'm training, nighttime, I'll throw in things like a salt bath for sure. Also on the recovery side, cold plunge. So we go cold plunge here in the rivers, which are very cold, especially this time of the year. So you have to
Yeah.
like break the ice and get in. But again, that's all it's all based on the training. And so that's like if I'm, really feel inflammation or whatnot. On the peptide side, I go through cycles with peptides where there's absolutely zero. Right now I have BPC, and then I've been doing an IM NAD, and that's been really interesting. Have you tried NAD, Melissa?
No, I'm kind of
No.
scared.
Okay. Oh, are you? Okay.
I
No,
am.
well, it depends, right? It's a spectrum. Like you get
Yes.
the pill form, which I've been hearing good, things about from our audience, and then also powder. And then I went full IM, which, you have to reconstitute it and then,
Right.
yeah, do it in the muscle. I am not good with needles, but I
That's
will
more what
say,
I'm afraid of. Like I've tried liquid form and all that, but like real stuff
yeah.
like you're talking, I'm
You're
like,
not alone, trust me. Yeah. But it's a small diabetic needle. And I don't know, it's interesting. Now it also does negatively impact my HRV. But these are all of the types of, it's like we're doing these, all of us, we're all doing these N of one studies where, your protocol is specific to you, Melissa, and all the
right.
things that you do. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it just allows to, begin to optimize each of these things once you can
Right.
measure them. So
I love this. And I fully believe and I just embrace the concept of like, just because you age doesn't mean you have to get old.
I mean,
I
100%. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Yeah. And so a big part of that is like connection. How much time are you getting out with other people and connecting and, like book
Yes.
clubs and I don't know, dance clubs. Like it doesn't really matter what it is, but, these very human elements that need to continue, and once you start like really, kind of shutting people out and, there's a direct connection to dementia with lack of connection and purpose.
So crazy. And this is one of the reasons why I took my training and I used to do just like one-on-one personal training in a gym, things like that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
we're missing something. Like something is completely missing. And I was training mostly with women. And I'm like, it's the environment. It's bringing everyone together. It's having this culture. And so
Sure.
that's why now I train
Yeah.
people online together all
Oh,
across
cool.
the country. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you guys have no idea how important this environment setting is and to be shared and
Everything.
have the connection. I'm like, I know you're over in Wisconsin, I'm in California, but it doesn't matter. You
Awesome.
know, it's
Yeah.
still a form of like connection, but yeah, still go out. I have so many people that are like, I just want to be home. And I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It feels like, people want to be home more now than ever, actually.
yeah, I
It's
believe.
really, certainly less social. I think part of that is based, in the environment of technology and social media and those things. I mean, I think these are all factors, but
And
yeah,
Uber
completely
Eats.
empathize. So you can't underestimate the power of connection and purpose.
No, yeah, it's so important. I'm so glad that you said that and brought it up too, because man, having people in your life that you can hug physically, like you get weird if you don't get hugged.
Yeah.
Always tell my kids that.
Or a cat or a dog or, an animal,
Yes.
essentially like of some kind, 100%. Yeah. I mean, animals are, also such an integral part of our lives. So,
I know. Mine are such a
yeah.
pain in the ass. I have these two little dogs, but I'm like, when my kids are gone, if they're with their dad, I don't like being alone and they're there. They're my little buddies, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, little pain in the ass. You're so worth it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, even, animals, we actually have a micro habit people have added, they've asked to add, and it's 20 minutes of, petting their animal, and it releases oxytocin. And there's like a direct connection of these things that we're finding out more and more. So it's amazing. The power of
Imagine that. And we're help preventing dementia. Like
100%. It's at least part of a plan. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thoryn, how can people find you? How can they follow you? How can they learn more? We'll put everything in the show notes too.
Cool. Yeah.
But tell us, how can we connect
100%.
with you?
Yeah, so brain.one is our website, and we're on socials, of course. A quick funny side note, I have a new song coming out that I wrote with Dr. Galen Buckwalter, and I'm singing and playing drums. Galen is singing and then controlling a synthesizer with his brain-computer interfaces, Melissa. I'm not exaggerating. It's insane. Yeah, he's literally singing and controlling a synth at the same time. And so anyway, that's going to come out. That'll be on Spotify in about 2 weeks. But Dr. Galen is performing with me. It's just amazing. Yeah.
What's the song about? What?
I wrote it in Venice, I don't know, 10 years ago. And it's actually a 90s SoCal punk rock, which,
my
a
God.
lot of different genres. But Galen's expression into the world, being, confined in a wheelchair is punk rock and AI. And he's such an amazing human. And so we've known each other for decades. And I wrote this song and I was like, we got to record this. And so further, though, he's singing and then controlling a synthesizer with his brain implants. It's
amazing.
Incredible. So this is the future on some level of music, even, where, again, you have these ways of, composing just using your brain.
Right? Oh, my God. Thoryn, this was such
a pleasure.
Oh my God, this was so cool. You guys go to the show notes, check it out, connect, get on
brain.one.
Brain.one. Get on there, build your protocol, live your best life that you possibly can. And there's ways to do this. So
awesome. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you for being a part of it. You're such a blessing to this show. This is great. I hope we can work together in the future and keep this going. Absolutely. This is so cool. But thank you again for coming on. Everyone, please go to the show notes, connect, and have the best week, month, year of your entire life. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Everyone, stay safe, stay healthy. Until next time. The Bomb Life podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The content shared here is not intended as medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult with a qualified professional before making any health, fitness, financial, or legal decisions. The opinions shared on this podcast are personal experiences and insight. So if you need expert guidance, go find the right professional for you. Thanks for listening.